How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to be looking at 17 chase cards from the Scarlet and Violet era and Sword and Shield era. A lot of these chase cards are extremely popular cards that have been trending in the downward direction for the past 3 months, and they're kind of flying under the radar because everyone's focused on Greninja and a bunch of other products and cards, Surging Sparks for sure. So let's go ahead and check out these chase cards because they're extremely popular cards, and a lot of these cards can fit any budget of investing. So MJ Okage right here with another video, and let's go ahead and check out these cards. We're going to start off with the Leafeon Vmax from Evolving Skies. You could see a year ago, back in October, November, this card was selling for $136 and it had a stable price point of around $150, shot up to $312. And then look at the past 6 months. It's dropped from $312 all the way down to $207. And if we look at the last month, it's dropped from $233 down to $207. So it's an awesome card, and it has the potential to hit $300 in value. And right now it's only $207 in comparison. So great card. It's an evolution Glaceon. This one's really popular in the set. So this card is looking like a good card to get, and mainly because it's a super popular card and you always want to get a lower entry point when you're looking at investing in Pokemon cards. The lower the entry point, the lower the risk for you to not profit as much when you're looking to sell the card down the line. So let's go and check out the Machamp V now. As you can see by the graph, it had a high point right here in June 2024 of this year, $189. Last year, it had a stable price point of around $84. So it's already higher than it was last year. It had a big old boom right here at $189 and now has dropped all the way to $117. If we look at the last 6 months, you could see that back in May it was $190. Now it's $117. So again, these cards are trending in the downward direction. They haven't fully stabilized yet. You can see right now there's been quite a few sales for $119, $117 for this Machamp V. So if you can get in at $105, I think that's a good buy, because if you look at the last year, it was $83. So, and it already jumped to $189 with all the FOMO about Evolving Skies taking off, and you either have the booster box now at $800 or you don't. So definitely, well, not Evolving Skies, Astral Radiance, but same thing. Astral Radiance is like nearing $200. It's like $180, right? And so, yeah, Machamp V, another great card. Currently, I do not have it in the collection, but it'd be pretty nice to have it. All right, next, let's check out this Leafeon Vmax. Here's the yearly chart right here. It's up 55% since last year. Last year, we were selling for about $160, shot up to $356, and currently now is at $257. So it already lost $100 in value, but it's still up in terms of percentage and gains from a year ago. A year ago it was 168, now it's 257, and it has the potential to reach $355. So I think if you're getting the card now, you can look at all this volume. People were actually buying this card at $300, $320. Now it's $257. If we look at the last month, it's still trending in the downward direction. We'll see if it stabilizes for a few months at around $245, $230. But keep your eye out. Keep your eye out for this Leafeon Vmax, because evolutions are super popular, and the liquidity on evolutions has been proven to be really good. We're going to have that new Terrassel Festival set come out for Japanese in December, I believe, and then the English version in January of next year. So next we have the Aerodactyl V. It got really popular and got pumped up real quick. We could see that a year ago it was selling for $85, and then back in May $139, and ever since May it's been trending in the downward direction. Was stable at $100 for a little while right here, and now has dropped to $95. If we look at the monthly chart, it's still going down from $100 down to $95. So Really incredible card, and again, these pull rates are super difficult, so of course these cards are starting to get a little more expensive. But if we're still looking to get these near mint copies, these cards are all trending in the downward direction. And so it's something to keep on a lookout for, because if you don't have these cards in your collection or you're looking to invest, you definitely want to invest when these cards are cheaper, more affordable for you, and there's more reward in the future if you're looking to sell these cards down the line. This is the time to get these cards because they're just cheaper, and there's more opportunity to make a profit on these cards. All right, next we have the Rayquaza Vmax card from Silver Tempest. We could see that this card shot up all the way to $46 back in June of this year. A year ago, this card had a support line of around $30, a little volatile, but basically $30. Went all the way up to about $52 was the high, and ever since then, it's been trending quickly in the downward direction, and now it's reached all the way down to $30. You can see the past month, $30 down up here back in September, $29 and $30. So it looks like it kind of has a good support level of $30, $29. And so yeah, the potential right there is good for this card. There was a lot of sales at around $40, so $10 loss in the past 6 months. But it could be a good card to pick up. I believe I have 2 of these cards. One's graded at a 10. So it's nice to have in the collection. Let's see what we got next. We have the Reggie Drago. So we're still in Sword and Shield. We're going to get to Scarlet and Violet very soon. But let's look at this card right here. A year ago, it was only $13 for this card. Managed to go all the way up to $22. And then since then has been trending in the downward direction all the way down to $15. Yep, 6 months ago, $23 down to $15. If we look at the monthly chart, there's been a lot more sales for this card, it looks like. Now that it's hitting $16 and $15, you can see that every few days there's about 10 copies, 8 copies being sold. So that's pretty good for this card. It's not the most popular Pokemon, but it's got a Lugia in the background, and Reggie Drago is a sick variant of the Reggies. I wish it came out when I was a kid. I would have been so happy for that. But anyways, next we have, now we're jumping into some, I lost the Miriam, but Miriam cards down to like $20, sub $20. So the Miriam from Scarlet and Violet base is a good card to go after now that it's a lot cheaper. I believe it's below 20. But here's this Miraidon EX card. It's more popular than the Koraidon. And what's interesting about this card is when these 2 legendaries first came out, they were $100 cards. It was like $120, $130. Since then, we've had 7 new sets come out since Scarlet and Violet base set. But a lot of people really like Scarlet and Violet base set, or they're starting to. Paldea Evolve is super popular, and now a lot of people are realizing Scarlet and Violet base set as a base set is better than Sword and Shield. And so I think it's a good opportunity down the line. There's a pretty decent amount of supply for Scarlet and Violet base. But that's when you want to get any kind of sealed investment or card. Is the cheaper the better, because when you're looking to sell these cards or trade them down the line, you build value in your investment. So let's look at this Miraidon EX. The past year, this card has been pretty volatile, but not very expensive, right? So a year ago, this card was around $17, and then it was pretty volatile at $20, down to $14, $20, and again, it's at $14 again. So from a year, from last year, it's already lost 20% in value. And so right now may be a good time for this card, because not only is it a secret illustration rare, but it's a legendary, and it even has the what's that donut Pokemon? I'm blanking on it right now. But yeah, a lot of people, I don't really know a lot of people ripping Scarlet and Violet base set. There seems to be a decent amount of supply of this card. I'm sure we could see how much is, there's 103 listings. So it's still widely available right now. But again, if you were able to get a few of these copies and hold them for a while, it looks like it has the potential to at least hit $22, and right now it's $14. So that's definitely a card to look out on. I already have some PSA 10s for these cards, and I kind of overpaid for them. I believe I got them for like $90 like a year ago, but not too bad for a PSA 10. All right, next we have the Iono from Paldea Evolve. Super popular card. At one point, it was like an $80, $90 card. You could see right here, a year ago, $85, $90. And then it dropped down to $75, $81. 80 seemed to be a decent price point. And then we got the restock, right, of Paldea Evolve just a few months ago, the restock of booster boxes. So now it's fallen down to all the way down to $53. And then there's also the new Iono card. So this card is super playable in the TCG, very important for the TCG. And now there's even a brand new Iono card that people aren't using as much. And then they made like different full art versions of this card, so it made the card overall cheaper because it's a highly playable card. But again, $53, it's down 34% since last year. If we look at the monthly chart, it's dropped from $58 all the way down to $53. And there's quite a few sales for this card. There's about 3 to 4 copies being sold every few months. So yeah, all of these cards are great pickups right now. They're hitting lows right now, and they're kind of flying under the radar with all the hype of the bull market and Pokemon right now. There's a lot of cards, a lot of chase cards are just destroying the market, like the Greninja, the Pikachu SIR from Surgeon Sparks is going to be a big hit. And but yeah, so there's a lot of fun stuff going on, and these are just some cards that might need a second look at because there's a lot of opportunity for these cards right now. Next, we have the Iron Valiant EX card. Currently, it's a $19 secret illustration rare from Paradox Rift. The Groudon's popular, Roaring Moon's popular at around $49. Groudon's like $51, maybe $55. And then the Iron Valiant is like the 4th most expensive card behind the Altaria. And the Iron Valiant is only $19. So a year ago it was a $68 card. It looks like it had a somewhat support line, stable price point of around $33, and now it's down to $19. Yeah, wow. Let's look at 3 months ago. $30 in July, down to $19. And in the past month, $19 shot up a little bit by $1 to $20, and then back down to $19 again. And there's a whole lot of volume for this card, and there's a lot of PSA 10 copies for this card that you can get for around $90 to $100. So if you just want to go with the PSA 10 copy, that might be a decent move as well, because a lot of people are starting to fire sale those PSA 10s because there's quite a few PSA 10s, which is interesting because Paradox Rift doesn't have the best print quality. So again, if the Iron Valiant is on the market right now, there's a lot of supply. The print quality I've noticed from Paradox Rift, it was pretty bad. But anyways, next we have the Garchomp EX card. It's down 37% from a year ago. A year ago it was selling for $30, down to $16, made its way back up to $27 in May, and now it's been trending in the downward direction really hard, down to $15. You can see the past 3 months, $18 down to $15, and the past month, $16 down to $15, and it looks like it's kind of starting to go back up. So this might be a $16 card for a while. We'll have to see. But for a secret illustration rare, this is a great pickup. I mean, I need to get this card personally. I was gonna get it a few months ago, but man, I would have rather pay $15 rather than paying $21. Like, for sure, it would pay for the shipping. That's for sure. All right, next we have the Iron Crown. This card was infamous. When it first came out, a lot of the chase cards for Temporal Forces were just extremely cheap, below $50. They were like $30 to $50. And so a lot of the cards started to spike up, like the Morty's Conviction. The Iron Crown was infamous because it got all the way up to like $150 in a matter of days post-release. And so now it's managed to make its way down to $54. 6 months ago, it was selling still for around $73, $55, $82. So there was a lot of people still buying up this card, buying up as many copies as they can. And you can see a year ago, yeah, it was like $86, $95. So it was volatile for a period of time. And then the hype just disappeared for this card. And now it's selling for $54. So I definitely have one copy of this card. I think I got in a trade for valued at $60. So $60 trade value wasn't too bad for me. Now it's made its way down to $54. So I'm down $6, but that's not too bad for a super infamous chase card that made its way to $100. We'll have to see if it ever achieves $100. I'm sure in a few years it might. But next we got this Carmine from Twilight Masquerade. It was really popular when it first released, shot up to $115, and look at that, 68 copies were sold. I imagine those people were just trying to flip it and grade it. But let's look at the past 6 months. It was selling at around $88, then $126, $109. And ever since August, it's been trending in the downward direction. It was sitting at around $80 for a little while, for about a month in September. And now it's hit an all-time low at $73. So that's really good to see. Yeah, past 3 months, July, $99. And this card's really popular. You can see by the volume that there's like 8 to 15 copies being sold every few days. And so 3 months ago, from $100 down to $73, not a bad pickup. If we look at the last month, even in October, $85 all the way down to $73. So about a $10 loss in the past month alone. So might be a good time to, keep your eye out for this card, see if it stays around $70. And if it does, maybe in a few months it will start to go back up. We'll have to see. Trainer cards aren't super popular right now in English. Japanese for sure. There's definitely a tax on that. They're really expensive in Japanese, but not so much in English. All right, next we have the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade. This card just, I was telling people months ago, like, hey, this card is going to be like the Groudon. It's the best illustration rare in the set. The Groudon is the best illustration rare in Paradox Rift. Like, come on, it makes sense, right? And it definitely did take some time. You can see 6 months ago, it was still selling for $39. And there was 228 copies sold of the Eevee for $36. And it made its way up back in July to $61, was volatile for a while the past few months. And now it's made its way down to $48. And you can see just 3 months ago, it was able to go up to $55. You could see 78 copies were sold just in September. And now we're towards the end of October. So since September, early October, it went from $55 down to $48. So it's definitely trending in the downward direction. You can see right here from $56 down to $48. So $48 for the best illustration rare in Twilight Masquerade. And it's an Eevee with all 9 Eevees on here, I believe. There's 9 of them, I believe, right? Yeah. So Eevee, maybe it got good time to pick it up. It's starting to calm down a little bit. Managed to get to $60, and now it's at $48. Next, man, I really like this card. I don't know why it's not as popular. I personally like it. But let's go ahead and look at the Blood Moon Ursaluna from Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade, the sealed booster box is already like $160. We'll see how long it stays at $160. Maybe it goes up to $180. Maybe not if we get a restock. But nonetheless, let's check out this Blood Moon Ursaluna. Currently, it's a $40 card. I was able to get one for $45 trade value at a trade event like a month ago. But if we look at a year ago, let's see, the set's not that old. But yeah, this card was pretty stable at around $50 for the past few months. In June, $50. And then made its way down to $38 right here in September. 22 copies were sold at $38. And now it's staying at a pretty stable price point at $40. So not too bad for this card. Let's see if it's trending in the downward direction. It kind of, yeah. So basically the support line right now is $40 for this card. And you can see that it's pretty popular. There's about 4 to 5 copies being sold every few days for $40. I mean, it's an awesome new take on, what is it? Ursaluna or Ursaring, right? Blood Moon Ursaluna. I think it's an awesome artwork. I think it's totally undervalued. It reminds you of the Machamp from Astral Radiance and how that card was undervalued for 2-3 years. So, and even that card's starting to drop in value right now, but it's above $100. And so I really believe this Blood Moon Ursaluna is going to be $100 one day. And especially in a set that has a ton of chase cards already. Twilight Masquerade has the Greninja, and then it has the Ogre Pawns that nobody really cares about. But that Blood Moon Ursaluna, I think, is pretty cool. So we'll see what happens with that card. Next, we have the TPago EX card. It was $108 for a good while. This set barely came out in September, so prices were really high for this card from the jump at like 126, 150. But let's look at the last month because it barely came out in early September. So yeah, this card was selling quite a few copies at $114, $113, $110, and now it's quickly dropped to $96 right now. So $96 is the market price for the Terapagos. But you could see in the chart right here in the volume, there's like 5 to like 20 copies being sold every few days. So 5 to 20 copies being sold at $96, not too bad. We'll see if it does drop below $80. It is playable in the TCG, and we'll have to see what the evolution set. This card is a normal type, or colorless type, whatever. But there's going to be more playable cards in Terastal Festival. They're going to be stellar type evolutions. So we're going to have to see if the Terapagos is able to hold up at around $90 for a while. And it managed to drop from $110 down to $98. So we'll see. Okay, so these are the last two cards right here. And then I have the next card after this is a Gardevoir card that's super undervalued. So the Gardevoir EX, you could see this past year, has been selling at around $48, $51, and now has made its way to $42. So from $48 down to $42, this card has been trending in the downward direction for some time. You can see it was a little volatile, but yeah, you can see right here, $53 down to $42, and it's still trending in the downward direction. We could see that once it dropped down to $39, a lot more copies were kind of being sold, and it made its way back up to $42. So it looks like the market price for this Gardevoir EX from Palday and Fates is $42. And it looks like it's a brilliant artwork. The most expensive cards in the set right now are the Charizard, or the Bubble Mew is more expensive at like $161 right now. Then the Charizard at like $109, and then this Gardevoir EX is only $42, and it's an awesome artwork. Now we get to the final card. I had to throw this in as a bonus. It's the Gardevoir EX from Steam Siege. It's like the only great card in the set, and it's a secret rare. The secret rares are super awesome. Check out my video on Pokemon cards from XY, because I talk about the Gyarados EX. That is a secret rare with the gold bordering. That's only like $45. And then I also talk about the Alakazam EX. And right now it's only like a $38 card. And then here's another secret rare with the gold bordering, and it has Yveltal in the background. And this card is only $30, and it's trending in the downward direction. A year ago, it was about $34, managed to get up to $37 earlier this year in January. And now it's gone from $37 down to $30 right now. And you can see that it's still trending in the downward direction right now. So $30 secret rare from Steam Siege, which is like almost 10 years ago. It's probably like 7 or 8 years old already. And there's still 25 copies left for this card. All right, everyone. That is all the cards for this video. I'll see y'all next time. These cards are a lot cheaper than they were a few months ago. And so, yeah, MJ Okage out. Peace.